We will start about class and the object. In the previous we will discuss about the introduction to OOPS concepts, right? Class and object. Okay, so today we will go through it. What is the class? What is the object? And how it is implemented? And what are the methods in the class that we are going to? How to implement the methods? What are the classes? What are the methods we are going to implement? How to access those methods in the main function? Okay, that's all the things we will see it. Okay. So first we will see it. So what is a class? Usually from the book definition we will say that the class is an blueprint of the real world. It's a blueprint of the objects, all those things. But basically class is that it's a collections. Class is a collections of data members and the data types. Means class is a collection of data types and functions. Member functions are nothing but the methods. Okay, the class contains methods and the variable, basically the group of similar methods. Okay, for example, we have created the class for the school. Then what are the methods we are going to implement in that? Method called get student's name, get teacher's name, get the marks, highest marks from the each class. So what are the related to the school, that method we are going to put in that class. Okay, we can create n number of class in Csharp programming. So there is no limit. There is no limit for the any number of classes. We can design any number of classes, any number of methods, any number of variables. Okay, so why we go for the class? Okay, class contains what? Data members and the data functions. What are the data members? Data types, variables. What are the member functions? Member functions are the methods. So what those methods contain? So for which class we are designing? For the respect to that class, we can design the respective methods. Okay. So for example, I'm taking the class for an you can say that for one automobile shop. So what are the method going to be have it? Now method we are going to create for the get the bike numbers, get the different types of vehicles we have, get the customers record. Okay, based on that we are going to design the class. Class is nothing but a group of methods. Okay. We are not going to put the get students in the automobile class, right? It has to be separate. For example, we have the student class and we have another class called lectures class, teachers class. So get teacher method, that method has to be in the teachers class, not in the student class. Okay, basically what I'm trying to say is that class is nothing but it contains a group of methods and the variables. Okay, and that method has been protected by the access modifier like public, private. Okay, so first definition you can remember about the class is that class is nothing but it's a group of data members and the member functions. Okay, so how we are going to design the class? Class is a keyword. Class space and the class name. Class name unique name, you can give whatever suitable for your code or whatever suitable for your business scenario. But you cannot use the reserved keywords. What are the reserved keywords? Which is already had with the .NET libraries contains that name, like class. You cannot use the class name as a class. You cannot use the class name as an integer, int. Why? Int is a data type. It's already reserved. It's already there. So user defined, which is not as a reserved keyword. Apart from that, we can use any name. Okay. And string, and you can use the members, member functions and the member methods. You can see here string name. You can see here string is what? Data type. Name is variable. Okay, so what is this? This is a variable. But where we have mentioned this variable, we have mentioned in the class. So it means that this variable can be used anywhere within the student class. And what is this? This is a method. Get subject name is a method. Okay, and you can see here string address. String is a data type, address is a variable. So this address variable can be used within this method itself. We cannot use this method, we cannot use this variable outside the get student name. Why? Why? Because the scope of this variable is within the method. That's the reason what are the variable you declare within the method, those are known as the local variables, right? And what are the variables you have declared within the class outside the method, those are called as an instance variable. Okay, two important things you come to know in the class: local variable and the instance variable. What is an instance variable? A variable which you mentioned in the class, within the class, outside the methods. Means it's in the class, outside the method, right? It's outside the method. Those variables are called as an instance variable, and scope of the instance variable is within the class. Wherever you can use in this class, you can use anywhere. And another one is local variable. What is local variable? Local variable is within the class, but within the method. Within the class, within the method. Okay. Those are called as a local variable, and the scope of the local variable is within the method. And the scope of the local method is within this method. We cannot use this variable outside the method. That's the reason they are called as a local variable. Within the class, within the methods. Instance variable within the class, outside the method. Important things to remember. Okay. Yeah. So we'll erase this. Yeah. You can see this. This is about the class. How we define the class? Class is a keyword with the name and methods. Okay. How we will call? Okay, we are creating the class, we created the method. How we are going to access this? We will access this in the main method. To access this, what we need? We need an object. Okay. So how we have to initialize the class? Class name, an object variable, followed by the new keyword and constructor name. Constructor name will be the same as the class name. So what is the new? New is a keyword. It will allocate memory for the object. Okay. So with the we can see how we can access object name dot method name. Okay. Next we will see in the example directly. So that you can connect to the example very easily. Okay, this is about the class. You have got it, right? What is an instance variable? Instance variable are declared in the class, which is declared within the class outside a method. And when it is created when we create using the new keyword. So whenever the constructor is going to be compiled, when it hits the new keyword, the instance variable, the value for the instance variable is assigned by the default constructor. Object is what? It will hold the memory for the class. Okay, new operator. You can see what is we are discussing. New operator here. This is a new operator. It's what? New operator is a keyword. First, you have to remember new operator is a keyword. What it will do? It will create an instance for the class, and it will assign the memory. Assign the memory for this object. So, using new keyword, we can create an object or an instance of an object. Okay. New keyword can invoke the constructor. What is the constructor? Constructor will always the same name as the class name. Okay. So there are two types of constructors are there. Default constructor or there are different types of constructor like default constructor, parameterized constructor, static constructor. By default, If you are not mention anything, default constructor will come into the picture. And what is the work of the default constructor? First, it will allocate the memory for the new keyword. It will allocate memory for the new keyword and assign the values for the instance variable in the class. That will be done by the default constructor. We'll see in the deep work how the constructor will play and how different types of constructor how it will work. As of now, you can remember that default constructor what is assign the work of the the work of the default constructor is to assign the default values for the instance variable of the class. Okay. Yeah. This is the class and the object. We'll see the object. Okay, this is the notes. I will share it. Just you can revise. It's all same thing. What I have just explained to you. New operator, value type, and the structure type. Okay. First, we'll see some small examples about the class, how to invoke the class. That we will see. Then we'll go, slowly we'll go forward. Here is it. First, we'll create the class. How to create the class? Click void. We are not going to create anything. First, we'll see some very small example. Right? Student name. Class name will be the. Sorry, don't use the why it is for the method. For class, for the creating the class, there is nothing like a return type for the class. No, return type will only for the methods. Okay, public class name. What is the class name? Just will say student name. Okay, student. Okay, the class is created. Don't confuse because in method we have seen we have used this parent is open and close. If you make this open and close, it means that you are working for the method. You're creating the method. No, for the method we will use this parenthesis, but for the class there is no parenthesis. Just followed by the class keyword followed by the class name. That's it. Okay. First, what we'll do, we'll initialize string name. Okay. And we create a method public void student name. Okay, and here we create string student name. Caps case why is giving error? Because I am using the capital S. Here I am using the small s. So remember that Csharp is an case sensitive. Both are same here, student name and student name. Even though it is saying that we have unassigned, it is not there because here I am mentioning the capital S and here it is the small s. So be careful while assigning, while checking the names. Well, which case you are using, because both capital S and the small s will be different. Exactly, that we call it as a case sensitive. Okay, we created this. So what we came to know here, what was this? This is a class. So we created the class. How we created the class? Class is in keyword followed by the class name. String name, where it is, this name where it is within the class, but outside this method, right? So what it will be called? It is called as an instance variable. What is instance variable? A variable, a variable within the class and outside the method. Okay, this is the instance variable. and scope of the instance variable is within class, within the class. It means that this name we can use anywhere within this student class. And what is this student string name? It's a local variable. What is the local variable? A variable. It is also in the class. A variable within the class and within the method. There is a small difference, but it will play very major role. Instance variable within the class, outside the method, right? You can see the string where it is in the class, but outside all the methods. Student name is a method. In student name method, we have mentioned the another variable. Student name is a variable, and this variable it is called a local variable because it is a variable within the class and within the method. What happens if any variable within the method, then the scope of those local variables are within the method itself. We cannot access this method we cannot access this variable outside this method. Okay, within this method this variable is accessible. Okay, what we have seen till now, we have seen about creation of the class. Creation of the class, what is a local variable and what is instance variable. Okay, fine. Class is created, methods are there, we seen the variables. So another question is, right, how to use it, how to access the class methods, how to access it. So we have to create the instances of the classes. What are the instances of the class? Means creations of the object. Okay, how to access this? By what name we have to call? What is the process? So there it comes to the picture called as the instantiation of the class. Instantiation of the class is nothing but an creation object of the class. Okay, we have to create some variable for the class to hold these properties and the method what we declare in the class. Okay, how to create that? In the main method or from wherever you are calling it, with the class name. What is the class name? Student and object underscore student. This object name, this variable name, you can use anything, but it has to be meaningful. For the better understanding, used for the coding standards, you can start with obj, means it's object for student class. Okay, is equal to new student. So what is the new? New is the keyword. Okay, new is the keyword. New is the keyword which allocates memory to the object when it will hit the new keyword at the compile time. Okay, this there background still lot of picture is going to be happen. It is first initially it will be declared as an static variable, then it will convert to the heap memory. That we discuss in the deep as we go on. But as of now, you just to remember that new is a keyword which is going to allocate memory to the object. Okay, so we created the object here. So what this object is for? What this object is for the student class. This is a student class. For this student class, we have created this object. Okay, obj underscore student. Now use this object variable to access the class methods. Obj underscore student doc. When you click the doc operator, you can see whatever we mentioned in the class. Those methods we can see. By default, As I said in the previous session, by default what will be? By default it will be an equals get hash method, get type method, and toString. Those four are we are getting by default. Apart from that, we are getting the extra. What is that? Student name. What is the student name? Student name is that we are mentioning here in the class method. Okay. So it means that we can access that method now. No, this part, this code is going to be executed when we call, when the program comes to this line. Means with the help of the object, we can able to access the methods whatever we mentioned in the student class. Fine. Okay. Fine. So first we'll see how the code will flow. We'll keep the debugger, and where the code is going to be hit by default. Wherever you execute, code is going to be start from the main method. So it came to the main method. This is not accessible if we are not created the object, right? So what we did, we created the object. So it will come to this line. Okay, in the compiler it will see what is there. It's an object is created, and when it hits a new keyword, it is going to allocate memory for this object. You can see this. It is saying the name. It is showing name here above. You can see here, right? This line I'm talking. Yeah. What it is showing? It is showing only the name. Why it is showing only the name? Because name is an instance variable here, right? So we can access to the name, but we cannot access to the local variable. Right click and you can, if you want to see in the quick watch also, you can see object. When you expand it, it will show name. What is the name? Name is a variable of type. Name is a variable of type string. By default, what is the value for the string is a null. Who assigned the value for the string variable? Default constructor is assigned. Okay. And press F. Yeah. So where it came after directly from this name, it came to the method directly to the student name method in student class. The value is assigned. You can see this. After executing this part, when the object is done, when it went to the class and whatever the process, whatever the code we have written in this class, in this method from the class, after executing them, after executing it, it will come back to the same point from where it is called. Same like a method. We have seen when we call the method, it will go outside the main method. It will go to another method subprogram. After executing the subprogram, it will return back to the same line from where it is called. Object also same. After calling the student method, it will go to the class of the respective class. What we call here, we have created the student class. It will go to the student class. In student class, we are calling for the student name is a method. Okay, after performing the student method, it will come back to the same point from where it is called. Okay, and you will execute whatever you have mentioned below the next line. Console F10, it's a console key. Again, you press it. So we can see the output here, right? In output, the name is Rahul. So we are able to access the class methods. Okay. So you come to know that what is the instance variable, what is the local variable. So everything in an object oriented, everything is placed together. Okay. An object is nothing but then variables, functions, and the data that performs on the related activities. This is about the class. Okay. What it contains, what the classes contain? Variables, functions, and data. What is the data? What we are passing as a parameterized, or what the data we are passing from the database. Basically, it contains about the data members and the data functions. Data members is nothing but then variables in the classes. Member functions is nothing but the methods in the class. Okay. How to perform this? How to call this? We are seeing now. From this, what is object? Object is an, or what is a object, student? It's an object. The object performs those activities. It is defined with the object behavior. So we can say that object is an instance of the class. Okay, what are the object? Object are the instance of the class. In other words, we can also say that instance of the class is an object defined by the particular class. Okay. And the creating the new instance or an object is called as an instantiation. Don't confuse with the instantiation and the object. Like the basic level, you can understand both are the same. But the way we are calling when we create the class, to access the class, we create the instantiation of the class. There we use the word instantiation. When we say through instantiation, we can use the class methods. But while creating, we can say the same. This has an object. We can say the object. We can say as an object variable or the class variable. We can say as a class variable. Okay. So we can say about this. Okay, till now is it clear, right? We discussed about the class, methods, local variables, instance variable. The very important thing is about the local variable and the instance variable. And what does a class contain? Class contains about the data member and the data functions. Data member is nothing but the variables in the class. Member functions are nothing but the methods in the class. What is instance variable? Instance variable is the variable, a variable within the class and the outside the method. First thing to remember. And the scope of the instance variable is within the class. Within this, the scope, wherever we can use the instance variable within the class. See, the class starts here till here, it ends here. So within this scope, we can use anywhere. So that is instance variable. What is instance variable? A variable which you mentioned within the class and outside the method. What is a local variable? Local variable is also within the class. See, the local variable is also within the class, right? But it is within the class and within the method. Okay. So what happens if it is a local variable? Means the scope of this local variable is within this method only. We cannot use the local variable outside the method. Okay, yeah, fine. This is about it. And how to access it? Just now we have said, just I will repeat. How to access it? We can access those. We can access the class variables, class functions to performing the object. Objects perform those activities. Who perform these activities? Who call these methods? It is performed by the object. Okay, object perform those activities. It defines the object behavior. Okay. So new keyword is there. What is a new keyword? In memory, when you create an object using the new keyword, so C# value types refers to the data variable, while objects are reference type. You can see just it out. So basically, new keyword allocates memory to the object. There are two types of memory allocations in the RAM. Where you can allocate the memory? In RAM area, right? Random access memory. So in RAM, there are two types of memory allocations are there. One is heap memory, and another one is stack memory. Okay. What is heap memory and what is stack memory? For the which variable it is going to assign? For the value types. For the value types, it is going to be assigned in the stack memories. And for the reference type, it is going to be assigned in the heap memories. Okay. Reference type is also be called as an objects. Okay. So those we will see. Internally, for the what variable the heap is going to operate and how it is going to be saved internally for the heap and the stack. In the separate session, when we discuss about the garbage collector, is a garbage collector, we will see in the very deep about the data storing in the heap memory and the stack memory. What is the difference? Which one is the fast? So that we will see in the while discussing about garbage collector, or in next few sessions we will see that. As of now, you remember that object is reference type, and this object is going to be stored in the heap memory area in RAM. Heap, heap memory area in RAM. And value types. What are the value types? Integer, float, double, etc. All these are stored in the stack memory area in RAM. Okay, just save this. This is about the new keyword. New keyword, what we will do? If we allocate the memory for the reference variable in the heap memory area. By this object, we can access the method's name. Just we have seen this example. Just who are just joined now, they can see the flow. See works wherever you write. The programs are from the main method. We call the object, and it's going to after the execution from the method in the class, it will come back to the same point where it is called. So you can see the output, it mentioned the name. Okay. So just we will come here and we'll click another method. Complete void school name, you can see student student. Here I create the variable name, variable called student address, something like so here I mentioned the student local variable. Again, it's a local variable. I mentioned some value. Okay, again I feel that I need to use the student name because whose address it is. It's address for the student name. Here I'm not going to create the data type. Here I'm directly using the name. Name equal to. Here you can see that I have not mentioned the data type here, even though it is saying it is correct, right? Even though it is saying that it is not showing, the compiler is not giving any error. Why it is not giving error? I have not mentioned data type. Here if I remove the data type for the student address, it will throw an error. You can see here. It is throwing an error. It is saying that student address is not assigned. But for where I have the name, it is not giving any error. Why? Why? Because the name is an instance variable. What I said it the first time, first while creating the class, name is an instance variable. The scope of this name is from first line of the class to the last line. Means the scope of the instance variable is within the class. You can use anywhere in this class. That's the reason once we have declared this name with the data type, then without clicking again the data type, we can use this variable directly anywhere within the class. Here I am using directly, you can see it, right? Because of this instance variable, no need to mention, no need to declare the data type again. Okay. This is a local variable, student name. What happen if I try to use it directly here? It will give an error. Cannot assign student name because it's in the group method. It's saying data type is missing. But you can think it out. Okay, I have mentioned the data type here. It's I have mentioned the data type here, but still it is giving an error. The data type which you have mentioned for the student name, you have mentioned in the method, and the scope of the variables which you mentioned in the method, those goes called a local variable. The scope of those variable is within the method. You cannot access this variable outside. If you want to access again, you have to create separate data type. Okay. Here I am using separate data type. Again I am creating with a separate data type. Means what will happen internal, again the separate memory is allocated, separate value will be maintained. Separate values maintained for this and this. Okay? If you are going for the instance variable, the same value is maintained, same value is going to retain, and the scope is within the class. Got it here? Okay, I created another class. How to access this? Here I called with the object name, not student. When I do this, what I am calling only one method. Student name I am calling. Okay. This I have not called again. If I click on the debugger, what will be happen? F10. Student name is called, and it will come for the output. It not came up to the student address. Why? Why? Because we are not calling the student address with the help of the object in the main method. Okay. If you are not calling it, if you are not invoking it, then it is not going to call that. It's not going to operate it. As I said in the definition of the object, you create the class, but these properties of this class are performed by the objects what you mentioned. This object what is performing? This object is performing only the student name. Means student name method it is performing. It is not performing, it is not working for the student address method because we are not initiating here, we are not calling it. To call this the student method, do we need to create another again the object? It's not required because this method is in the same class for which we created the object. So just by again the object name, we can call other methods also. See here it is showing the student name. Now it is showing the student address method. Means we can able to access another that method also. Okay, now click on the start. Press F10. Student name method is called and student address is called. Now it is invoking the student address. Now the output will be the two lines. Now first one is the student name from the method student name, and second one is the student address. So if you created the instance of the class for the one, by the same instance we can call whatever the method declared in that class. So we will create another class and we will see it. Okay, this is the class 1. We will create another method class. After the class, we will go for the school. We take the method get school name. Okay. Here I'm mentioning Here we mention in the school name. School. Okay. So what is the class here? School. Here this is a different class. The previous one is the student class. Here is the school class. To get the school name, can we go with the object student? With the object student, do we get the get school name method? You can see here we are getting that, we are not getting. It is not showing, intelligence is not showing get school name method. Why? Because the get school name method is not in the student class. This is the student class. It is not in the student class. Get school name is in school class. The class is different here. So we cannot take help of the student object. We need another method. We need another object for the school. So we will create another object for school. Okay, obj. Now you can see here get school name. Now it is showing. When we are accessing the school object, it is showing only one method, get school. It is not showing for the student name and the student address. Right? Means the object will work only for the respective class for which you have created. Again, I will select for the get school name. So the student object will work only for the student class methods. School object it will work only for it will have the access only for the school methods. Okay. When you are working for the different classes, you have to create the different instantiation. You have to create the different object. That point to be remembered. Now execute. First, it will come the sequential. It will go for the student method from the student class. After this, what will happen? It is creating the object for the school now, and it is calling for the school method. And you can see the output we are getting the name, address, school name. Right? So this way we can create for the different classes. You have to create the respective individual object. Okay. So this is about the introduction to the classes, how to get them access the methods from the different classes. And tomorrow we will see about the constructor. Tomorrow we will spend the entire session only for the constructor, how to pass the values for the parameterized constructors, what are the default constructor, what is the static constructor. Okay. When we discussing about the class, parallelly it is very important to know about the constructor, how the constructor is behaving when the class is created. If you are not mentioning anything, the default one is the default constructor that is going to apply. If you prepare the parameters constructor, then the parameters constructor will invoke at the time of the compiling. That we will see in tomorrow's session. That's very important. Let's not miss that. So when you are understanding the class, it's equally important to give the same time to understanding the constructor. Constructor, class and object internally play as a single unit. Okay. Has how much importance we are giving for the class, the same importance we need to give for the constructors. Both are going to play at the same level. Both are equally important. Okay. So we'll wind up today here. Just I want to revise the class what we mentioned because we discussed 4 days back. Just I want to recall it. And tomorrow we'll discuss the constructors. Okay, then we'll stop here and we'll continue tomorrow. Thank you.